Welcome to How to Reply to a Discussion Board. The intention of this video is to help students in online classes succeed in online discussion boards posts, especially new students to online classes. It's important you understand that discussion boards are not there just solely as a means for you to share your opinion. These are scholarly exercises intended for you to take the information and concepts you've learned either through the lecture or through your reading and apply it to the discussion board. It's also intended as an exercise to help you strengthen your writing skills, your research skills, and your analytical skills. So as I go through this presentation, I hope you pick up some tips that will help you better succeed in your discussion board writing. So the first step, whenever we talk about a discussion post, is really read the question. That may seem kind of obvious, but in many of my classes, I've had students reply to a discussion board question and not really reply to the question. It was kind of obvious. They only read the first part of the question, or they didn't read it through thoroughly. So make sure you read the question. So this is an example of a question posted on a discussion board. In this reading, there is a background information, a frame of reference for the student to reply from, and specific information that the professor is looking for. So I'm going to spend a little time analyzing each of these components and discussing them. So the first portion of the discussion board question is background information. It's basically detailing that the professor wants you to discuss the posting from the perspective of a political activist or advocate, not from a clinical perspective. So you really want to focus on the health policy issues relating to the issue you're going to talk about. The professor is also giving you a reference to the textbook and specific pages. Included in the textbook and specific pages are likely very key information that's going to help you better post and discuss the issues. So you want to make sure you read these specific pages and understand them fully. So the next step, or step 2, is identify what's being asked. Specifically, identify exactly what the question is and what is it that you are to reply to. The question posed instructs the student to discuss an issue from a reference point of the nurse as a political actor, with a specific reference to agenda setting. So when you post your discussion, you want to be sure you understand what agenda setting is and address it in your post. The instructions also directs the student that they are to examine an issue related to their current or past work setting. As the student is writing as a political actor, the posting should have some association with legislative health policy. Discussing solely clinical issues would be inappropriate. However, many clinical issues do have a health policy implication. So make sure that when you do your posting, you're doing it as a political actor and looking at the health policy legislative issues and not solely a clinical. So when we look at the question, certain words just kind of stand out. So one of them is examine. It doesn't say give me your opinion, it says examine. So the professor is really looking for you to perform an analysis of this issue. Find data, examine the data, dissect the issue, and then perform a very brief, concise examination of that issue. You want to use the data that's available to support your opinion or your position. The next step is the word defend. So as individuals reply to your post, you want to defend your position to anyone who is in opposition. So if someone states something contrary to the position you're taking, you want to find evidence, particularly peer-reviewed evidence, that helps to support your position. And step 3 is collect your data. Now in some instances, this may actually be step 1. Essentially, if the discussion board post is an issue that you're unfamiliar with or have no strong opinions on, you may want to collect your data first and then use that to develop your opinion or your position. But the most important part of any discussion board post is collecting your data. Okay, so you've read the discussion board post, you've identified the background information, you've identified what the actual question is and what the professor is asking for you to discuss. So the next step is doing your research. Now, when we do research, it's very important that you adhere to certain rules regarding research. Not all data sources are the same, and there are certain data sources that are just not acceptable. So you really want to follow the established rules when it comes to doing research. Now, the way you get the data is really simple. There are several excellent online databases that you can search for scholarly articles that you can utilize. These include Google Scholar, PubMed, Clinical Key, and several others. Now, many universities or colleges will have contracts with these search engines that allow you to utilize them and also to download complete articles from the search engine. So check with your college or university and find out which ones they have contracts with and how you can best utilize these search engines. Talk to your librarian or your guidance counselor and they can help you. So remember that the data that we use needs to be a primary peer-reviewed reference source. This means the original research or the original article as it appeared in a peer-reviewed journal. These are the best sources of data. You can also use reviews like Cochrane's review or a meta-analysis, but you always want to refer back to the original data source. It must be current and respected. So if you were talking about a clinical situation such as treatment of acute myocardial infarction, you would want to use a recent article that's covering current treatment for that problem. You wouldn't want to refer to an article that was published in 2004. The data really wouldn't be appropriate and wouldn't be up to date. And there are certain unacceptable references that you should never use. For example, Wikipedia. Wikipedia really utilizes the opinions or the information from multiple sources, and there's really no way to find out the qualifications of the individuals posting to Wikipedia. Therefore, it makes this data source unreliable. So you don't want to use Wikipedia. You also don't want to use CNN, Fox, MSNBC, or other news media sites unless you're referring to the news story they're covering. But if they're talking about a research article or they're talking about a treatment, you really want to find the original source that they utilize for their news article. And again, you don't want to use blogs or opinion websites unless you're talking about the opinion or the blog itself. This also includes professional websites like ANA or FNA. If there's information on those websites, you want to find where they got that data from, and you want to refer to the original data source. Most professional organizations do not conduct research on their own, so you don't want to refer to those sources. You want to find the original source. One thing that will save you a huge amount of time and make your life much easier in your academic career is a citation manager. I use one for the majority of my academic career, and I will tell you it probably saved me hundreds of hours. So you really want to find a good citation manager. Citation managers are software packages that aid you in doing research and managing citations. Most will do an online database search for you. They allow you to collect summaries of the articles, so you can actually get the summary of the article and download it to your computer. Some will actually allow you to download the complete article. It then allows you to collect articles by subject and build a comprehensive database for references by subject for later use. So if you were doing a search for safe stamping, you could create a folder and collect all the articles about safe stamping in that folder, and then refer to them later if you have to do another paper on safe stamping. And most provide the citation in the correct format. So when you download the summary, you'll also download the citation, and you can copy and paste the citation for that article and use it in your papers. So for example, APA format, MLA format. And some examples of some reputable citation managers include EndNote. EndNote's available in Mac and Windows format. Mendeley, which is also available in Mac and Windows format. And Bookends. Now, Bookends is the program that I use, but it's only available in Apple. It's very affordable, it's a reliable piece of software, and it literally has saved me hundreds of hours. So if you take a look here, this is Bookends, which is the program I use. I'm allowed to break things apart by subject and collect articles by subject. It then actually gives me the citation, and I can copy and paste that citation for use later. And it also allows me to do an online database search by search engine. So I strongly recommend you invest in a citation manager. It will really make your life much easier. And I don't have any invested stock in any citation manager. That's just a little bit of advice. So going back to our discussion board question, if I were to respond to the question, there are many issues that I would likely discuss. including safe staffing, workplace violence, implementation of patient satisfaction scores for reimbursement, or outcomes-based reimbursement. So there are a lot of subjects you can pick from. Once I selected the topic, I would do a database search looking for articles on that topic. I would particularly look for articles that support my position. I would then use these references as the backbone for my posting, making sure I address the role of nurses as activists and agenda setting. I would also utilize this reference list to reply to my colleagues as they reply to my post. So just kind of summarize the important parts about online discussion boards. Remember that these are scholarly discussions of an issue, just not your opinion. Any opinion stated must be supported by any evidence. All factual statements, such as safe staffing improves patient outcomes, must have a supporting reference, and these references should be primary peer-reviewed references. All replies to peers should also include a reference to support any assertion or position you. So always remember that discussion boards are scholarly work. Always use primary reference sources. Always use available online resources such as PubMed, Kaiser University search engines, Google Scholar. And if you're ever unsure what the question is regarding the discussion board post, contact your professor and ask them to clarify it. It's best that you start out on the right foot from the beginning rather than putting a posting on the discussion board and having to go back and do it later. I hope this little discussion helps, and I hope it helps you in your academic career. Thanks.